Hello and welcome to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Adingor. Hello and welcome to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Adingor. This week on Fixing South Sudan, the Minister of Finance and Economic Planning speaks about the National Development Strategy. What is the strategy? How will it be implemented? And is the National Development Strategy a good idea for fixing South Sudan? Joining us for the show is Honorable Salvatore Garang Mabiordit, the Minister for Finance and Economic Planning. We are elated to welcome him back to Fixing South Sudan. Welcome back to Fixing South Sudan.
Thank you, Madin.
How are you?
I'm okay.
So the National Development Strategy was launched at the end of November. And what is it about?
Well, the National Development Strategy was developed when the first agreement was signed in Addis, both in Addis and in Juba. In order to sustain peace, the National Development Strategy was framed with the help of the development partners and those who are the tracker and IGAD. But before it was implemented, word broke again in 2016. Still, we revised it again. Now, it has been launched. That's why it was launched in November. It was this old one which was being revised in order to have the peace be sustained through development.
The National Development Strategy plan is not a new idea. It goes along the thinking that the government have been planning its economy and planning its priorities. So what is different about this one?
Well, the difference is that it has been compacted in order to make sure that it is within 3 years, from 2018 to 2021. And also it is aligned with the national budget. This morning I opened the workshop for the 2019-2020 fiscal year budget, of which the National Development Plan is prominent in our strategy. Not only that, we have 3 things in this year fiscal budget. One is the normal budget. The second one is the National Development Strategy. The third one is the supplementary budget for the incoming government of national unity by May. To do that, we have to accommodate the new ministries we are created. And we should also have to make sure that we have to reflect them before the formation of the national government.
Let me talk about how ambitious the document is. It speaks about achieving peace, security, rule of law, democracy, good governance, socio-economic development, and wants to have partnerships with the international community. In other words, it is a wish list for South Sudan.
No,
those are a lot of priorities.
No, these are revised priorities. First, when we started our priorities, after 2005, there were 52. We reduced them to 24. We again reduced them to 6. Now we have developed this National Development Strategy to accommodate all the clusters, the governance, the economic cluster, the peace, the security sector, and all the clusters which are involved in running the government. And each one has their own priorities. And so to do that, each phase like security, they have to do everything which concerns peace, like containment camps. Also, where will they put the becoming soldiers, especially the seniors, and how they are going to be harmonized and unified as one army. That one, there has to be a budget for it. And the budget for it will be reflected in national development strategy. And that is the way to, so that we are not surprised by new arrival of things which are also a priority. We have to focus. How shall we sustain peace? To sustain peace, it has to be done through development. And that development, because a person in Iraq, some person in Ayod, a person will not know what is happening in Juba. But if people go there, dig bore wells, open schools, the clinics, and all those social services, water is important, education is important, health is important, and also agriculture. And so the national development strategy has the money for it through the budget. Because the reason why the budget was developed was that when you wait for the money to come and begin to think, people will pour money on wrong priorities to find that they have left out the very important priorities.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the strategy is about planning.
There's planning, of course. Planning is budget. You cannot do budget without planning. And
You
budget,
don't want spending outside of the national development strategy.
Yes.
Everything must be streamlined.
And of course, even our own budget, we are making sure that since our last budget, which is now finishing in June this year, is a balanced budget. Why is it? Because we are basing it on our resources, not expected loans, not expected donations, not expected contribution from the development partners. If they bring them, well and good, we will put them into this national development strategy. If they don't bring them, we will meet it within our resources. That is oil plus non-oil revenues. So we are ready to make sure that we don't just make figures which we cannot meet.
Is the strategy implementable?
Of course, this is a strategy which has been scientific. And we also involve those who are helping us to make sure that these are not just figures for the sake of figures. These are figures to meet the areas which are not developed, especially the Greater Upper Nile. It has a lot of things to be done. And we have to make sure that to do it, we have to plan for it, we have to strategize, and we have to put money aside for it.
South Sudan has a lot of beautiful plans, but it doesn't implement them. So the devil is in the implementation. What will you do differently?
The difference is that we are this time very focused on realities, not just assumptions. Budget is, of course, is assumptions, but assumption based on the two pillars. One is, what are your things you want to do, your aspirations, your beautiful things, but beautiful things are frustrated when there are no funds. And so we have to make sure that where do we get the research envelope? The research envelope is composed of the oil and the non-oil revenues. And to make this, we must be sure these are collectible. The whole failure comes from the revenue. If we just put all those expenditure, and then there are no, the revenues may not be collected, you are just only wishful thinking to make think that you are going to build schools, you are going to build roads, you are going to build hospitals, and also agriculture, which is the real base for our economy.
And let's also check whether yours has not been wishful thinking, because in August we spoke in this very program about the budget which was just passed, and you said that the priorities were clearing the areas and paying salaries.
The salaries, we have been on top of it.
Have the salaries been paid?
We have never missed a month.
Have the salaries been paid on time?
They have been paid on time, but we have to start at the backlog which areas were built up by the previous administration. Because if we start from the month we came, the rest will be lost. So what we have to do is to start from the arrears, the last month. Like now we are finished with the foreign missions up to 2017. We are now going to start again with 2018. For the salaries for the states, this may be only 3 months now remain. For the central government, it's 2. So it is only the foreign missions which have the biggest challenge. But we are going to fix it.
You are staying true to your words.
Yes, of course.
Can the national development strategy fix South Sudan?
is going to fix us because it is something scientific. It is not wishful thinking. And it is based on realities, based on what the oil money will give us, what the non-oil money will give us, and what are we going to do with this peace. Peace must be sustained. And to sustain peace, you must have water, you must have schools, you must have roads, you must have all those things that make a human being comfortable.
It's one thing to say, I am going to do this. But if the political will isn't there, it is the powerful who always go against the system that they have set forward. Is the political will there?
Well, the political will should be there because it is the politician who give us this strategy and given to the strategic ministries, like the Ministry of Petroleum and the Ministry of Finance, to fund this wishful thinking you are talking about. But we are making sure that the national development strategy is based on specific, realistic figures, not just figures to accommodate all the aspiration. People think that we must do this, we must do this. No. We have so many priorities. And among our priorities, we also prioritize the most prioritized things that needed by the society. So it is scaling down, reducing the priorities so that they do not overwhelm our little resources we are collecting, and also to make sure that the people implementing them know that the money will be on hand.
Let's say a year from now, you are still Minister of Finance, and we look back when the budget was passed, will we see a situation where there's zero spending outside of the budget?
Well, this is what we are doing now. We are spending within our budget, but it is that we are lucky now that the peace is coming. The oil fields will increase, the oil money will increase, and even the non-oil revenues will increase because of security was the one hampering the collection in areas, especially on the front lines. Now that there will be no front lines and the whole Southern Sudan is open for business, you will find that a lot of money will be at hand. And we may even have reserve for most important things. Say that, like when you are getting the loans, without reserve, very few can give you the loans because the backup is always the reserve, either in gold or in dollars or in another hard currency. And so if you collect more, it is good always when the budget is being planned, you make sure that it is conservative. Say that when you collect more revenues than the expenditure, that is the reserve. And that reserve will also give you the chance to make sure that you have to make supplementary budget for those items which are very hot, that they take more money because of their usefulness. For example, the security, the education, the health. The health always education, they expand from state to counties, to Payam, to Bomas. And that they mean that the money increases. And also our embassies, we have to facilitate them to make sure that they pay all their bills, they pay the people there, especially the local staff.
Let me see what you are promising. Budget discipline, absolute budget discipline.
There's no budget accommodation, no money. We will not give you money.
No more accommodation.
No.
Maximum discipline.
Maximum that do you have it in your budget? Yes, take it. You don't have? No, please.
You are ready to fix us.
Yeah, to fix it as soon as we start by July 1st, you will see. And we wish also if I'm still there, you ask me.
Let's take a break from here.
Fine.
Hello and welcome to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Adingor.
Republic. 2011, 2011, 2011.
Welcome back to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Adingor, and with us is the Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Honorable Salvatore Garang Mabiordit. It's a pleasure to welcome him back. You hinted at something, that the enemy of beautiful plans is lack of revenue.
Of course.
Therefore, your concentration should be revenue collection, revenue collection.
Yeah.
In this instant, can you speak about the National Revenue Authority, which your ministry has been supporting keenly so that it meets your goals and objectives?
The National Revenue Authority was foreseen to make sure that it is the umbrella of all revenue generating institutions and to make sure that they are under one roof. So that which the heads of the other sectors like the immigration, customs, taxation, and also the ministries, we call them non-tax revenues, which are collected on behalf of the Minister of Finance. They are collected and they are put in the National Treasury. But before that, some of these things had never seen the light of the day. And so the National Revenue Authority was perceived to make sure that the revenue administration is put into the standards which are needed internationally, not locally. There are areas where the National Revenue Authority will reach, including the oil fields, where the income tax should be given to us. Also, the other embassies where the people are working, we will have to tax them, and it is given to us. And also within the ministries, there are fees and what do you call it, the collections on which are done, the services being done by the Ministry of Justice, where they give you contracts. They are authenticated by the Ministry of Justice and the Secretary. There's fees for it. The judiciary, there are court fees. All these things, all under one roof, will be collected. But when they were individual, each one with their own king or prince, they do whatever they want to do, and it is difficult to harmonize all tax collection. So when you harmonize something, you will be sure to make sure that it's easy to correct, it's easy to follow, and it's easy to administer.
As a ministry, are you fully supporting the NRA?
NRA is under the Ministry of Finance, and they are collecting this money on our behalf. And if somebody is doing something on your behalf, you don't give him the support, how will they do their work? They will also make excuses that we are not being supported. But it is our interest, and it is the benefit of the public, that the Revenue Authority is given all the support, not only by the Minister of Finance, but everybody, including the security, to make sure that whatever they do, there is no hindrance, there are no roadblocks, and all those things that are reducing the collection of money. And the National Revenue Authority needs to be supported by all the institutions, including the states organs, especially the security organs.
And in that aspect, the president came out with a decree saying no exemptions, because what we found that people were using government ministries to get exemptions even for private materials. And the president has said no more exemptions.
No, he did not say no more exemptions, but he was saying that there will be no exemption for those who are not within the agreement with the government of South Sudan. Those with the agreement, like the UNIMIS and all the embassies, which are within, they have this Geneva.
But for the government, no exemptions for
no
government.
exemption, no exemption.
And is that boosting the work of the NRA?
The curve is now going up, and we are getting more money than before. And of course, to do that, there is always a fight for those who are getting something out of it.
It is a big fight because NRA is currently collecting from taxation, from customs, and is looking at going to the petroleum industry, to immigration. It's massive.
Well, those are all, the staff are under NRA. They are not working independently. those areas like going to the oil fields are the law we are giving to them, with the 2009 taxation law. It stipulates areas to be where the National Revenue Authority will collect the money. You cannot collect the money from anybody without the law. You have to show the law to a person before you ask that person to pay. Say that the person will be comfortable that you are not looting him or her. It is sometimes people are perceived the tax collectors. Some of them, they think that these are not tax collectors. These are self-made tax collectors on behalf of themselves, and that's where there are roadblocks.
A lot of awareness is needed so
Yes,
that
of
people
course.
understand what is in it for them.
You have to make sure, even when we print the money, we have to campaign to show them the denominations. What is this, the 5, 1, 10, 20, 100? Say that the people will know how to use the money. So in any law, you have to let the people understand it before you apply it.
As the Ministry of Finance, the NRA is a good friend of yours. They collect money and they surrender them
It's
to
not a
you.
good friend of ours, it is a good child of ours.
A good child of yours
Yes.
because it collects
Collects.
and gives you for spending.
Yes, that's right.
And that's a different matter altogether. Spending should come with a lot of discipline. And when you have a situation where the Minister of Finance is waiting for the money and then probably misallocated them.
No, everything is based on the budgeted items. Even when your ministry writes to us, they will have to quote the item which has been approved. That is the Appropriation Act, which approves the figures. If you see the budget, at the end of it, every ministry has an amount approved for it. And that amount it should spend for 12 months, from July 1st to June 30th in any fiscal year. So the pillars, the two pillars, the one for the revenue and no for the fiscal, and the one for revenue must balance. And it is preparable. The revenue should be higher than the expenditure in order to have reserves.
In your time on the job, what would you say has been your impact? Proud achievement you can talk about.
Well, when I came, there was no salaries on time. Now people are not talking about salaries. They just thinking, when are we going to get it? Also, the market, we harmonize the market. And because you see, when you pay the civil servants, they don't save. They go to the market and buy. When they buy, you find that they also pay their loans from the, what do you call it, from these traders. And then the traders who are these small traders will also pay their what do you call it, they took the loans from the, what do you call the collection of the goods that they get from those wholesalers. The wholesalers also go and bring more goods, and that the economy begins to move. And when it moves, that gives the price to come down. Because everybody will be asking just that much, and he has the money in the pocket. If you say this amount is high, say thank you, he goes to another person. That person, when it comes back, will reduce his price. And so the price is a fluctuation between demand and supply. And once you have more supplies, the demand will drop. If you have less supplies, the demand will rise.
In the context of your own ministry, you promised in our previous discussion that you did acknowledge that there was widespread corruption in your ministry, that you will do something about.
Yes.
And famously, people expect to be paid after paying the famous 10%. Is that phenomenal gone?
Well, that one was just a perception. The 10% has two windows. One window is perceived to be from our staff. The other window is from the traders, those who have the contract with the Minister of Finance. If I have a contract with the Minister of Finance and you have some troubles, I will say, okay, Madi, you take my claim to the Minister of Finance. If you get it paid, I will come and give you 10%. That 10% is not corruption because it is his own money.
Has that loophole been closed, or are you saying
That,
this is
the
legitimate?
The loophole of the staff, we have closed it. And we are fighting it.
People have to bribe your staff to get paid?
That one is now, sometimes it is just assumption. Sometimes it is true because you cannot just say that there's smoke without fire. And that is the fight everywhere where there is.
So it may be going on.
No, well, you cannot rule it out, but it is now not longer the rule of the day that the people are afraid because you are catch you are out.
And what would you say about the fact that there are so many priorities for payment, they stamp yours priority, and yet it is not the priority? Is it something,
no.
and talking about in the context of NDS, when everything is aligned, everything will go on as planned?
Well, when you have the priorities, it's for that fiscal year. And you make sure that the money is used to achieve those planned programs. Once you achieve them, next year they become normal and you have to look again for another priorities. So the priority is made at the beginning to establish, let's say, the hospital. Once the hospital is established or the university is established, next year is no longer a priority, but you have to sustain it to make sure that all the services for their operations are given to them. Then you look for another priorities. The government has a continuous priorities every time, even those who are highly developed like the United States and Western Europe and even Russia. Every year you have the priorities. There's no nation without priorities.
Many in the public, they have a wonderment that we are an oil-producing nation. Recently, the oil has been ramped up in the former unity state. There's oil being produced, and oil is being produced in the Upper Nile, and yet the economic coffers seems to be dry. And I asked the Minister of Petroleum, where is the money? And he said he wasn't the finance minister. You are the Minister of Finance. Where is the money?
The money is where we pay the salaries. It's where we pay the hospitals and your ministry. Where do we get those money? It is the money from the oil.
All the money is going to the payment of civil servants.
Well, they can go to the civil servant because the civil servants have never been reduced due to lack of what do you call the packages. You cannot give anybody a pension without a package. DDR is not being implemented the way it was perceived. Say that those coming from the army, those who are wounded and the rest, they should be laid off. But how do you lay off people without giving them a package? To start a new life, to have somebody who will use his mind to make small business, that to feed his family. So all these priorities are within the government. And the oil money is not enough to cover all those things because we have our country was completely ravaged. So we have to start everything from scratch. No roads, not even churches, not even the schools who have been there before, like the old local, Rumbek or the Poltaka. So this thing we have to start all over again. And also the agricultural projects were all become forests. We have to start again.
The reality is that the money is not coming to the central bank. So where is the money going?
We don't keep our money.
You don't have more than $50,000 in central bank, which is shameful.
No, the government coffers are not stuck. You fill them like the goods in agriculture, and you put them in the.
The money comes and goes.
The money comes and goes.
No saving.
No, there's only saving.
No rainy day.
It is the budget which is being executed. To execute it, you collect it like here, and then now you spend it. You collect it again until the end of the fiscal year. So there's no money which is so redundant. Nowhere in a country which has a redundant money. Money is made and is spent.
In this ministry, top ministry, the heart of the government, are you making decisions to fix South Sudan?
We are making.
Are you confident?
Yeah, we are making decisions through budget, through national development strategy. Decisions are not made in a hollow way. They are made and quantified through planning.
You believe in South Sudan?
Of course, we believe it and we are fixing it with you.
No leakages?
No, well, there are no leakages. If there are leakages, then they will reduce the aspirations.
Minister, thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you, Madi.
Okay, shukran.